Welcome to the Imagenomic Portraiture plugin tutorial. Portraiture is a standard Photoshop plugin that is run from the Filters menu. The Portraiture plugin was designed to alleviate the tedious job of manual skin retouching in Photoshop. The plugin will run in 8 or 16-bit modes on a Mac or PC, is Vista and Intel Mac compatible, and will also allow batch operation using a standard Photoshop action. This batch processing will allow you to retouch a large number of images in a fraction of the time that it would normally take. This makes you much more productive and also allows you the time to be more creative as well. The preview window in the center of the screen has 3 modes. Full screen, as we're in now, split preview window horizontally with before on the top, after on the bottom, split preview window vertically with before on the left, after on the right. Clicking the mouse on any of the after previews will show you a before preview. Also, clicking, holding, and dragging the mouse around will pan the image. If you have a mouse wheel, you may use Control or Command plus the mouse wheel to scroll horizontally, or just the mouse wheel alone to pan vertically. Normally, we will want to preview our image in the size that corresponds to our intended output, like a print size. This sample image is an 8x10 at 300 dpi, and so the corresponding preview zoom value would be around 25% to match print size for this particular screen resolution. We will now work our way down the controls on the left side of the plugin window. The Settings drop-down list box contains several presets starting with Default and ending with Enhanced Low Key that are hard-coded into the plugin. These settings cannot be deleted, but may be modified and saved to a different name in the Customs Preset area. The Custom Preset area allows savings of up to 40 custom presets that may be recalled later or used in Photoshop batch actions. You can save a preset at any time by clicking on the small floppy icon just to the right of the Settings drop-down list box. The Save Custom Filter Settings dialog will pop up prompting you for a name to call this preset. The subsets allow you to turn off one or more of the plugin's dialog settings to allow for more flexibility. As an example, you may want to use one preset over again under a different name but not include the Enhancements section. Clicking OK will save the preset under the given name or warn you if a preset exists with the same name. Just to the right of the floppy icon is a red X. This X will allow you to delete a preset. However, you may only delete custom presets as you cannot delete the hard-coded ones. The X will be grayed out if you have any of the canned presets selected. To the right of the X is the left and right arrows that allow you to undo and redo. You may also use Control or Command Z to undo and Alt or Option Y to redo, the same as in Photoshop. The next section is Detail Smoothing. There are 5 areas in this dialog: Fine, Medium, Large, Threshold, and Portrait Size. The Fine slider determines the amount of detail smoothing that is applied to fine areas of the skin such as pores. The Medium slider works on slightly larger areas such as small blemishes, and the Large slider blends large tonal ranges. The Threshold slider determines how much total smoothing is applied based on the combination of the above 3 sliders. Finally, the Portrait Size drop-down offers 4 choices: Auto Detect, Small, Medium, and Large. The portrait size drop-down is used to better match the smoothing algorithms to the portrait size. Experiment here, as sometimes a different size portrait selection will give overall better results based on image content. The next section will be the skin tones mask. Starting at the top of this dialog, we have Skin Tones Mask, Apply Detail Smoothing to Skin Tones Only, Mask Opacity, and then a Color section to allow tweaking of the Skin Tones mask. The Skin Tones mask drop-down offers two choices, New from Image or Last Use. Selecting New from Image will allow PT to estimate the best skin tones to generate a mask from. This is a good choice for batch operations. Selecting Last Use will reload the settings from the previous use of Portraiture. The Apply Detail Smoothing to Skin Tones Only checkbox will determine if Portraiture applies settings to all of the image content or just that selected by the Skin Tones mask. Normally, this checkbox will always be selected. The Mask Opacity slider adjusts the opacity of the Skin Tones mask so that you may blend in the unmasked image for comparison. You must have either a white or black mask selected using the Show Mask feature to be able to see the mask for comparison. The last part of the Skin Tones mask section is the color box, Show Mask, Eyedropper Selector, Hue, Saturation, Luminance, and Latitude. The selection of skin tones for the mask are determined mainly in this area. The large color box shows a range of colors with the currently selected colors outlined by a white box. The colors inside the white box are determined by the sliders below. These sliders will be positioned according to the preset that is currently selected in the settings drop-down discussed earlier. There are different ways to control the skin tone selection using this color box. To start, you may click and drag the white inner box around inside the large box. You may also click and drag any of the outer edges of the white box to shrink or enlarge the skin tone selections. If you turn on one of the Show Mask options, you can more readily see the effect of using the white inner box. You may use Undo at any time to return to previous settings. There are several ways to select and tweak skin tones for a good mask. At this point, we must say that there is no such thing as a perfect skin tone mask selection. Portraiture's algorithms work differently than standard Photoshop tools, and as such, it is not really necessary to actually select every single skin tone pixel. Experimentation in this area will give you outstanding results as you tailor the mask presets to your own particular style. We'll work with the hue, saturation, luminance, and latitude along with the eyedroppers to give you a better idea of their use. Make sure that you have a side-by-side or top and bottom split preview selected. Then turn on the Show Mask white button. We're going to zero out the color and latitude selectors to start from scratch, and then use the leftmost eyedropper and select an area of your image that you think is a good average sample for skin tones. We found that for the average portrait, the center of the forehead between the eyebrows usually works quite well. In most cases, this is all you need, but sometimes you may need to add more tonal range. Using the right eyedropper, the one with a plus under it, you may click another area of the image and see how this range is added to what was already selected. Basically, the first dropper selects an average range based on surrounding pixels. Then you can select another area that is on the bounds of this one, and those pixels will be averaged and added as well. You can continue to click using the plus dropper to add other areas as well. If too much is added to the mask using the plus dropper, simply use the undo feature to back up. Using this same method of selection, we'll tweak the skin tone mask using the hue, saturation, luminance, and latitude sliders. Hue is skin tone color, saturation is how saturated or desaturated the color is, luminance is the brightness of the selected range, and latitude determines the amount or range of tonal skin tone selected. We'll start with hue, and want you to notice the mask variations plus the white box area. Also, the hue of the skin tone mask can be further controlled by the small white box within the color gradient bar below the color box. Saturation will now be worked with. And now luminance. Notice how each slider move makes a corresponding change in the mask as well as the color box area. Finally, we'll move the latitude slider, which determines the amount or range of colors selected. We'll now move on to the enhancements section. Sharpness and softness are pretty much self-explanatory. We've opted not to go overboard with this slider, so the effects will be subtle but useful. Warmth can add a color boost or take away color in a manner that offers unique output. Brightness will boost the image brightness, which can counter the effects of negative contrast. And finally, contrast, which adds or removes image contrast. Used in conjunction with each other, some nice effects can be achieved. On the right of the plugin window are color indicators in both HSL, hue, saturation, luminance, and RGB. These indicators show the color under the cursor and also tell you whether the indicated color is an average skin tone. If the color is not an average skin tone as shown, the H will show not a skin color and you can't select this color. The preview mode offers two settings: fast preview and accurate. Some slower systems are better off using fast preview. The accurate setting shows more difference at a higher zoom level. The Mask Output Options has a Create Transparency Mask checkbox. Having this check will allow Portraiture to create a standard Photoshop layer mask using the selected mask. For this to work, you must first duplicate the background layer of your image. If this is grayed out as is shown now, even though it's checked, you will not be able to create this transparency mask. We have included actions that will make the background layer duplicated for you automatically. The last area we will cover is the Preview section at the top left of the Preview window. Portraiture allows you to have more than one preview, with each having its own unique settings. Further, you can bracket settings so that you may pick the one that suits you best. As you can see, each preview has its own unique settings. Further, you can do parameter bracketing. Basically, bracketing will create a series of preview tabs with steps for each selected parameter. We'll select threshold here. We'll give it the number of previews 7, bracketing steps of 4, and we'll tell it to replace the open previews. By replacing the open previews, whatever's on the screen in the previews now will be replaced by these new ones. We click OK, and as you notice now, we have previews of threshold starting from 16 going all the way up to 40. We hope you've enjoyed this overview of Portraiture, and if you have any questions regarding this plugin, feel free to send us an email. Thanks.